The throne room of King Vila shimmered with alien opulence. Black crystal pillars stretched to a vaulted ceiling lit by swirling nebulae beyond. Gold, silver, and treasures from 100 conquered worlds lined the walls. Elias Wren, a human adventurer, stood before the king. He'd come to claim his reward for a mission no one else had dared take, retrieving a stolen relic from a deadly asteroid fortress. "You have done well, human." Vila's voice boomed, deep and resonant. "For this, I will grant you the wealth of my vaults. Name your price." An ornate chest was brought forward, its contents glowing, gold ingot stamped with a royal seal. The courtiers leaned forward, waiting for Elias to name his fortune. But his eyes weren't on the gold. In the shadow of a far pillar, bound in heavy chains, was a girl. Her hair was silver white, her skin almost luminescent, and her eyes glowed faintly violet, though dulled by exhaustion. She looked impossibly young, but there was something ageless in her posture, as though she had been standing there for centuries. Elias's voice broke the silence. "Ah!" The murmur that rippled through the chamber was sharp and immediate. Vila's molten gold eyes narrowed. "You would take the chained one instead of gold." "Yes," Elias said simply. "You do not know what she is," the king warned. "That's the point," Elias replied. "Gold I understand." "Huh, I want to." Later, the guards delivered her to Elias's ship, her wrists still bound until they were far from a palace. When he unlocked the shackles, she didn't thank him. "You're a fool," she said, rubbing her wrists. "You could have bought yourself a fleet." "Fleets can't talk back," he said. "What's your name?" Her gaze was piercing. "Celine." He recognized it immediately, a name whispered in old spacer tales. Celine of Illyria, last heir to a vanished empire. Legend said she had unleashed a forbidden power 2 centuries ago, being captured and chained as a living trophy. Immortal, unaging, a constant reminder of the king's conquest. 200 years in chains, Elias said quietly. 203, she corrected. The first days aboard his ship were uneasy. She kept to herself, silent and watchful. At night, he heard her pacing the small cabin he'd given her, as if the walls themselves might close in. On the 5th day, she asked, "Why did you take me?" He shrugged, "Because no one else would." "That's not an answer," she said. "It's the only one you're getting right now." Her guard began to drop during a run through the rift passage, a sector swarming with scavenger fleets. Elias was preparing evasive maneuvers when she said, "Let me talk to them." He gave her a look. "Why?" "Because they know my name." Moments later, her voice rolled through the comms, calm, commanding. The scavenger ships turned away without firing a shot. When he asked how she'd done it, she only said, "Fear is a more reliable currency than gold." Weeks passed. She began helping with repairs, navigating routes, even sharing quiet meals. Slowly, the tension between them shifted from mistrust to something else. One evening, as they drifted near a glowing nebula, she stood beside him at the viewport. "You risked the king's wrath for me," she said. "Gold's heavy," he replied with a faint smile. "You seemed lighter." She almost smiled back. Almost. The king's wrath did come. Vila's ships found them at a refueling station, demanding Celine's return. Elias didn't hesitate. Not happening. The fight was brutal. Plasma bolts tore through the darkness, metal screamed as it buckled, and Celine fought like a storm unchained, her movements a deadly blur. When the last enemy ship fled, she was breathing hard, her hands still trembling. "You could have left me," she said. "So could you," he answered. From that night, there was no more distance between them. She began telling him pieces of the truth, that the forbidden weapon had been a shield to save her people, that betrayal from within had delivered her to Vila, that her immortality wasn't a gift. It was a sentence the king had chosen for her, so she could never escape the weight of defeat. "You're free now," Elias told her one night. She looked at him for a long moment, then said softly, "Not yet, but I will be." When they finally parted, it wasn't because they wanted to. She had allies to find, a cause to rekindle. He had his own path to carve. At the airlock, she pressed something into his hand, a small silver coin etched with an Illyrian starburst. For when you need to buy your way out of something impossible, she said. He smirked. Or into something impossible. Her smile was faint, but real. Perhaps. Then she was gone, vanishing into the crowd, no longer a chain trophy but a shadow slipping back into the galaxy. Elias pocketed the coin. Gold would have been spent by now, melted down into someone else's vault. But her, she was a choice he'd never regret. And some choices are worth more than any treasure.